The stadium is packed. Thousands of red berets. The energy is insane. And Julius walks onto the stage and picks up a rifle. Now, I want you to think about who this man is. This is a guy who calls himself Commander-in-Chief. His party wears military uniforms. Their language is the language of war, ground forces, fighters. The entire brand of EFF is built on the idea that liberation isn't finished. Julius Malema walks into a stadium full of people who've been ignored their whole lives and makes them feel seen. And that's the most dangerous thing a politician can do. Not dangerous to the people, but dangerous to the people in power.
Kill the poor, the farmer.
In respect of count 1, you are sentenced to a period of 5 years imprisonment. In respect of count 2, you are sentenced to a period of 2 years imprisonment. In respect of count 3, you are sentenced to 20,000 rand or to undergo 6 months imprisonment. In respect of count 4, you are sentenced to 20,000 rand or to undergo 6 months imprisonment. In respect of count 5, you are sentenced to pay a fine of 20,000 rand or to undergo 6 months imprisonment.
When Julius Malema publicly fired a gun into the sky in 2018, whatever was going through his mind in that moment was definitely not the 5-year prison sentence he got handed. But what I think was going through his mind was, they need to see this. They need to feel this. They need to remember who I am. Because that's Julius. Everything is a statement. Everything is theater. And now the curtain is closing. Or is it? I'm Ashley and this is The Verdict. To understand what happened in the courtroom, you need to understand what kind of a man was standing in the dock. Because Julius Malema is not a normal politician. Julius Malema is what happens when the system fails and one person decides to become the answer. Born 1991, Shishongo Township, Limpopo, his mother was a domestic worker, no father in the picture. Let me paint the picture for you. While his mother was cleaning another family's house, cooking another family's food, raising another family's children, little Julius was at home figuring out life on his own. He joined politics at 9, not student council politics, actual ANC politics. At 9 years old, his job was tearing down apartheid posters outside police stations. Most of us at 9 were begging for sweets. This kid was actually in the struggle. By 14, he's chairing a youth league branch. By his 20s, he's running student politics nationally. By 27, he's president of ANC Youth League, the most powerful youth political position on the continent. And then in 2012, the ANC kicked him out and looked him in the face and said, "You are done." Most people, that's the end of the story. You disappear, you become a footnote. But Julius Malema is not most people. This man took that rejection, went away for a few months and came back wearing a red beret with a brand new party called the Economic Freedom Fighters. Built it from nothing, no infrastructure, no funding, no backing from the established, just anger, a microphone, and an understanding of something that every government in Africa keeps getting wrong. Here's what people who don't like Malema will never admit. The reason he has millions of followers is not because he's loud. Loud people are everywhere. The reason Julius Malema connects is because he feels what ordinary people feel and is not afraid to say it out loud in rooms full of people who'd rather he shut up.
Order, Chairperson.
Point of order. The ruling party by point of order. Chairperson.
Orders undermine.
Point of order.
South Africa was supposed to be the success story, right? 1994, Mandela, the Rainbow Nation, the miracle. And for the people at the top, maybe it was. But for the kid in Shishongo, for the mother still doing domestic work 30 years after democracy, for the graduate with a degree and no job, the miracle never arrived. The freedom was political, but it was never economic. And nobody in the ANC wanted to have that conversation. Julius had that conversation loudly. He said nationalize the mines. He said take back the land. He said the wealth of this country belongs to the people who live in it, not the people who own it. Now, you can agree with his solution or not. That's a debate for another day. But the diagnosis was spot on. And millions of youth South Africans heard it and thought, finally, someone who gets it. That's his superpower. Not policy, not ideology, but connection. So now, take everything I've told you and put it in the stadium in 2018. The EFF is turning 5 years since he got expelled and built something new from the dead. This is his party, his creation, his proof that they couldn't destroy him. When he lifts that rifle and fires into the sky, he's not being reckless, he's being Julius. He's giving his people a moment they will never forget. He's saying, I'm still here, I'm still fighting, and I'm not afraid of anything. The crowd loved it, of course they did, because in that moment, Julius wasn't a politician. He was the revolution in human form. That's what they signed up for, and that's what the red beret promises. But here's the thing about moments like that. They live forever. Someone was recording. Someone is always recording. And that video, that 30-second clip of Julius being Julius, followed him for 8 years through 31 days of court proceedings, all the way to yesterday's sentence. 5 years. That's what the magistrate gave him. Magistrate Twanet Oliver looked at Julius Malema, the boy from Sheshongo, the commander-in-chief, the man who built a movement from nothing, and said, 5 years. And she didn't hold back. She called it pre-planned. She said it was the event of the evening. She said leadership approved it. She basically told the court this wasn't a man who got caught up in the moment. This was a man who planned a spectacle and didn't care that it was illegal. And you know what? She was probably right. Julius probably knew exactly what he was doing because that's who he is. Julius Malema has built his entire career on doing the thing everyone tells him you can't do it. Singing the songs they ban, saying the things you get expelled for, wearing military gear to parliament. Every single act of defiance is calculated. It's a dare. I'm going to do this, and I dare you to come for me. Well, they came for him. But here's where the man shows you exactly who he is one more time. Within minutes of hearing 5 years, his lawyers were on their feet filing an appeal. And this is Julius, the strategist at work. The South African Constitution says if you get sentenced to more than 12 months without the option of a fine, you lose your seat in parliament. 5 years is a lot way past the 12-month mark. Game over, right? Except the Constitution also says disqualification only kicks in once all your appeals are done. And Julius, who has been in politics since he was 9, who has been fighting the system his entire life, knows exactly how to use the system when he needs it. You appeal to the court, then the Supreme Court of Appeal, then the Constitutional Court. He's already said he's only accepting a verdict from the highest court. That could take years, and every single day of that process, Julius Malema stays in parliament, stays on the Judicial Service Commission that appoints judges and stays relevant and always stays dangerous. The man who fired a gun in defiance of the law is now using the law to keep himself alive. And whether you think that's a genius or madness, that's Julius. Here's what I want you to sit with. Julius Malema exists because the system created him. A country that promises freedom and delivers poverty will always produce a Malema. The government that ignores its youth will always create a voice that speaks for them loudly, imperfectly, controversially, but unmistakable. And that's not just South Africa. Look around this region. Wherever young people feel unheard, wherever the gap between what leaders promise and what they deliver keeps growing, that's where the next Julius is being born right now. Maybe in Harare, maybe in Lusaka, maybe watching this video. The question isn't Julius Malema deserves 5 years. The courts will sort that out. The real question, the one that keeps people in power up at night, is what happens next. Because you can lock up a man, but you can't lock up what he represents. Julius Malema is out on bail tonight. He will be back in parliament. The appeal will take years, and somewhere in Sheshongo, there's probably a 9-year-old watching all this thinking the same thing Julius thought when he was 9. Something has to change. Well, I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to make sure you are thinking. That's the verdict. See you next time.